I don't know about you, but I love me some wide open spaces. Who wants to feel all squished in a teeny yard like this? Not me. What's funny is that people pay a lot more to live all squished like this than they do in areas with way more elbow room. Over time, we've romanticized the wild frontier, living off the land, roaming free without a care in the world. A long time ago, hardly anyone wanted to live in a big city. There was so much to explore. And now, kids can't pull themselves off the couch and put down their phones for 5 minutes. Anyways, today, we're going to look at the biggest states in America and learn a few facts about them too. As we'll see, these states are large and in charge of having a lot of room to grow. Anyways, let's get right to it. Well, obviously, when you're looking at a map, you can tell where all the biggest states are. It's just a matter of which ones are the biggest. It's actually kind of close. We'll start with Wyoming. Wyoming is our 10th biggest state in the USA. But the 11th biggest state is Michigan, which is only 0.03 smaller than Wyoming is. That's close. That's like the size of Jacksonville, Florida. So if you balance the city of Jacksonville on the end of Michigan's thumb, it would be the 10th biggest state. Wyoming's also the least populated state too, which means there's hardly anyone for miles and miles. I mean, there's only 6 people per square mile here. To put into perspective how hardly populated Wyoming is, if you wanted to drive to get a burrito in Wyoming, the average drive would be about 100 miles. We came to that determination because there are 62 total Mexican joints in the Cowboy State. It's a big place, Wyoming is. Big and vast. There are national parks and a whole lot of national forests, and it's pretty dry and hard to get resources. Some people have to have water trucked in, and that's expensive. But it's definitely one of the last places where you can be a real pioneer in America. In Wyoming, you can make friends if you want, but lots of people are just plain happy to be left alone. Oregon's sure a biggin'. It's just a teeny bit bigger than Wyoming. In fact, when you look at them side by side, you can hardly tell the difference. If you added the city of Houston onto Wyoming, maybe like a little hat like this, it would be the 9th biggest state. An additional perspective is this. The smallest state is Rhode Island, which is only 1,500 square miles. You could fit 63 Rhode Islands into Oregon. There's a joke in there somewhere, but we won't go there. Oregon's actually bigger than Great Britain, and by quite a bit. And it's bigger than Iceland too. Like Wyoming, there's still a pioneering spirit in Oregon, where folks in many areas, especially the eastern half of the state, still live like men. And then you've got a bunch of crybabies in Portland who couldn't last a day without their organic lattes. Oregon might have the prettiest coast in the whole nation, and folks here are doing their best to keep it that way. Good for them. Now, the next few states we're going to talk about are all over 100,000 square miles. First of them is Colorado. If you wanted to drive the perimeter of Colorado, let's say to compare pot prices, it would take you a long time. Let's see how long. Colorado's 380 miles long and 280 miles wide, so that's 1,320 miles. At 70 miles an hour, that would take an entire day to drive all the way around the state one time. Actually, is that a lot? That doesn't seem like a lot. Anyways, of course, a lot of Colorado people are pretty tough. Like Miller drinkers tough. Are Miller drinkers tough?
In this country, winter isn't a season. It's a warning, telling you it's time to move down from the cold, down toward a place called Miller Time, and the best tasting beer you can find.
That looked kind of tough.
I'm surprised you haven't asked me about these state sizes, Nick. After all, I'm a f***ing map.
Mappy, I don't think I've ever heard you swear before. Okay, well then tell me a fact then.
Colorado is about the same size as New Zealand.
That's all, Mappy? I thought you would have something much more insightful than that since you built that all up and everything. By the way, Mappy, remember when we did the story on the fattest states in America and you got really fat?
Where did you get that picture?
We all saw it. It was on the channel. Okay, well, We're going to move on as we take a peek at our next biggest state, Nevada. Nevada is 110,000 square miles big. Nevada is only 9th lowest in terms of population density, where there are about 26 people per square mile. But if you've ever been in Nevada, it's pretty much 1 in 3 people in the Las Vegas metro area, a few people in Reno, and then huge stretches of desert and mountain where you won't see anybody for days. That's nothing compared to the vastness that is the deserts of Australia. In fact, you could plop down about 12 or 13 Nevadas inside the desert of Australia and still have room for about 100 casinos. I wonder how many casinos you could fit into this entire state. So the average casino size in Las Vegas is about 1.5 million square feet. That takes into account the average square footage of the gaming floor, 400 square feet per room, and the pools and the conference rooms. Since each square mile is 27,878,400 square feet, that means 1.5 million square feet is 0.05 square miles, which means we could fit 20 Vegas casinos per square mile and 2.2 million of them in the entire state. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. I bet there's enough Chinese baccarat and pai gow players alone to keep those casinos filled every weekend. Moving on, we come to our next biggest state in America, Arizona. They're a big old state, just slightly bigger than Nevada. And just like many of the states on this list, it's a lot of desert and mountains here. Hey, check this out. Somebody made a cool map thingy where you can move Arizona around to see how big it fits into other things. Looks like it's about the size of Germany or North Korea. Of course, the Grand Canyon's in Arizona, and that's really big. The Grand Canyon is 1,900 square miles, so you could actually fit 60 Grand Canyons into this state. Arizona's always been associated with a wide open spaces, new frontiers, sort of a Wild West kind of place. Even before that, it was all Native Americans. Today, when you look at a map, Arizona's 25% Native American reservations, and another 60% is either national forests, national parks, and wildlife preserves. The rest? Metro Phoenix. So Arizona's pretty much Indian land, protected land, and concrete. Right next door is an even bigger state, which also has a lot of Native American land. New Mexico's only 4% Native American reservations, though. Another interesting fact, New Mexico's only 0.2% water. That's the lowest percent of water of any other state. Michigan's 41% water, as is Hawaii. New Mexico is the 6th least densely populated state, where there are just 17 people per square mile. Talk about some wiggle room. If you don't like people, this is your dream.
The earth isn't round, it's flat.
Are you messing with me right now? 'Cause I think you're messing with me.
It's true, we watched a video on it.
Okay, so you guys are flat earthers? Really? Actually, somebody else wrote into us and said that too. Her name's Emily. She also swears that the earth is not round. Where's your guys' proof that the earth is flat anyways?
It's just true. Yeah, we just know.
Okay, I'm paying one of you guys to come on here with facts, and you try to mislead my audience with this crap? Moving on. Okay, so now we're getting some really big states now. Montana ain't messing around. Yeah, that's just a big boy. Montana's just big in general. Big old skies, and they shoot them some big old bucks, and they drive some big old trucks. I wrote a song about it. If you live in Montana, then you like to hunt. If you live in Montana, then you like to hunt. If you live in Montana, then you like to fish. If you live in Montana, then you like to fish. If you live in Montana, then you eat raw meat. If you live in Montana, then you eat raw meat. If you live in Montana, then you drive a truck. If you live in Montana, then you drive a truck. Our nation's 3rd biggest state is California. Yeah, California is a really big place. And of all the big old states we mentioned, it's got the most diversity, both culturally and physically. The coast of California is 840 miles long. To put that into perspective, Pennsylvania, our 17th smallest state, has a whole perimeter that's about 840 miles. So one side of California is bigger than all 4 sides of Pennsylvania. Of course, even though this state's so big, it still feels crowded. That's because it's the most populous. I wrote a song about it. California's so big and cool, there's a lot of beaches where you can cool off. The water's so cold here. People wanna move here 'cause they think that it's so great here, but it's crowded here. Yes, it's crowded here. Here, here, here. It's crowded here. If you wanna live the California dream, then they need more nice. Yes, they need more nice. Sit in traffic, pay a lot for your house, enjoy the warm weather, try not to get crushed. Ah, California. Americans make a lot of jokes about everything being bigger in Texas, and for good reason. This is one big state, hombre. To put into perspective how big Texas is, if you stuck it out east, it would take up a lot of places. But while just about every other state except California on this list are all basically really empty in many parts, Texas is full. It's a big, vast, sweeping landscape in many parts, but jam-packed with 5 of our nation's 15 biggest cities. And it's growing fast here too. But there's a lot of room. They'll be okay. And that's all there is to say about Texas. No surprises here. Our biggest state is Alaska. We knew that already. Alaska is actually 2.5 times bigger than Texas. In fact, way back in 1959, when Alaska officially became a U.S. state, our whole nation grew by like 17%. There's 3 million lakes here, and if you added up every single inch of coastline, Alaska has 47,000 miles of coastline. That's like 16 United States lined up side by side. To put into perspective how big Alaska is, 4 of Alaska's biggest cities are all larger than Rhode Island, our smallest state. Alaska is almost the size of Mexico, but it's actually closer to Africa's Libya. By the way, Russia's the biggest country in the world. It's like twice the size of the USA. The smallest country in the world is technically Monaco, which is like the size of this golf course near the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Can you imagine that? A whole country is the size of a golf course? A place called Tokelau, am I saying that right? Is the smallest country in the world that's not Monaco. It's a beautiful island in the South Pacific where I would like to live one day. For a long time, Alaska was smallest in terms of population. Now it's the 3rd least populated, ahead of Wyoming and Vermont. But let's be real, Alaska's basically empty. 1 person per square mile lives here. And since about 17% of Alaska's population's native Alaskans, we can therefore calculate that there is 1 Eskimo per every 5 square miles. I wrote a song about it. Here's an Eskimo named Joe. He likes to ride around on his horse. Every day he collects ice to build his igloo for his tiny Eskimo family. They love sleeping in ice houses, and they don't beg for money like they do in Seattle. Good for you, Joe.
What the heck? Joe's not the name of an Eskimo.
It is for this one.
Their names are usually way longer.
Nuh-uh, not this Eskimo. His name is Joe. Okay, so that's it. Hope you learned something. We did. These are our biggest states in America. The end. Hey guys, if you learned something new or you just like this video, make sure to like it. And if you really like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get all of our videos about what it's like to live in different places in America. Peace.